Hello, YouTube Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 9 articles for you in this episode, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. First one here is off of RT.com, and it says, Meet the Mother of All Bombs, 6 Facts About Bomb on Afghanistan. I actually have 2 articles on this, and this is the first one. Forces in Afghanistan have dropped America's biggest non-nuclear weapon on Islamic State positions on Afghanistan-Pakistan border. Time this particular bomb has been used in combat. Special about it? Well, number one, what's in a name? The weapon's designation is unit, massive air blast. The acronym MOAB, MOAB, been rendered as the mother of all bombs. The name is likely a reference to Iraqi President Saddam Hussein's threat of mother of all battles over Kuwait. There is video in this if you want to see it. Got a tweet that says U.S. bombs destroy Khorasan group stronghold in Afghanistan. Number 2, 14-year-old Vietnam-era daisy cutter's daughter. The weapon was first tested in 2003, just before the U.S. invasion of Iraq. The Moab is from the BLU-82B Daisy Cutter, a Vietnam-era bomb, 15,000 pounds, and was used to clear jungle and desert minefields. The weapon was used with devastating effect against Iraqi troops in 1991. The last of the 2 BLU 82s suspended by 2008 and officially replaced by the Moab. And there's some pictures here if you want to see those in this article. It says number 3, it's huge. 43B Moab is monster truck ordnance. Described nerd columnist Gary Brecher in 2003. The Moab weighs 22,000 pounds, or just over 10,000 kilograms, and is the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the U.S. arsenal. It is packed with H6 explosives, which is about 1.0 times more powerful than pure TNT for a 11-ton yield, mile radius. The bomb itself is 30 feet long, almost 10 meters, and 40 inches, over 1 meter in diameter, dropped from specially modified C-130 transport planes. Pictures in this. Sure to keep up with me here. Number 4, it is scary. The Moab's function is primarily shock and awe. It is an air burst weapon creating pressure intended to collapse tunnels or bunkers and obliterate any enemy personnel caught in the blast radius. It is expensive, costing $16 million apiece. The Moab was Alabama-based company Dynetics. The Pentagon has commissioned only 20 bombs at a cost of $16 million apiece. The entire program cost about $314 million. And there's a Russian daddy. After the U.S. tested the Moab in 2003, Russia developed its own barbaric weapon named the father of all bombs and tested it in 2007. Very little is known about this weapon, but the Russian military says it is 4 times more powerful and has twice the blast radius of the American mega bomb. And there is a tweet in here from RT with pictures. It says the potential smart bomb sales to Saudi Arabia prompt questions from U.S. lawmakers. And then there's a picture, and The caption on it says, potential smart bomb sales to Saudi Arabia prompt question of U.S. lawmakers wrote to the presidential administration asking for more information about a potential sale of smart bombs. And that is the next one that I have on this. Liberty headlines. It says U.S. forces drop mother of all bombs on ISIS complex in Afghanistan. Originally came from the Washington Times. It says American bombers deployed one of the largest non-nuclear munitions in U.S. arsenal on Islamic State tunnel complex in eastern Afghanistan for the first time. An uptick in operations against the terror group's faction in the country. An MC-130 combat Talon Air Force Special Operations Command dropped the GBU-43, known as the mother of all bombs, on a tunnel complex in the Achin district in eastern Afghanistan's Nangarhar province, which is home to Afghan Islamic State faction known as Islamic State in Iraq, Khorasan province, or ISIS-K. The strike was designed to minimize the risk and U.S. forces conducting clearing operations in the area while maximizing the destruction of ISIS-K fighters, according to a statement from U.S. Forces Afghanistan. The attack comes as President Trump announced Wednesday the National Security Advisor H.M. McMaster would be heading to assess the current state of the U.S. operations in the country. Since his stunning electoral in last November, Mr. Trump and his national security team have been mum on for the U.S. mission in Afghanistan. The last visit by a sitting national security advisor to the country was in 2009. Then President Barack Obama sent then National Security Advisor Jim Jones to Afghanistan shortly before announcing his surge strategy. Washington officially ended combat operations there in 2014, taking an advise mission shortly thereafter. At 22,000 pounds and with a blast yield equivalent to 11 tons of TNT, the bomb was initially built to destroy heavily fortified underground enemy bunkers. The most powerful conventional weapon in the U.S. Armory. The article that I have is off of UPI.com, and it says Japan's jets deployed in response to Russian bombers. Japanese fighter jets were scrambled to warn 6 incoming Russian aircraft flying near Tokyo claimed airspace, NHK reported Wednesday local time. The deployment of the aircraft of Japan's self-defense forces took place on Tuesday after 2 Russian Tu-95 Bear strategic bombers were seen near Japan's claimed portion of the Pacific Ocean. Russia then sent 2 Ilyushin Tu-38 fighters to an area near the coast of Hokkaido, Japan's northmost island. Afternoon deployed 2 anti-submarine warfare aircraft, the Tupolev Tu-142 to the Sea of Japan. Aircraft, most likely the Ilyushin Tu-38 fighters, flew across the Pacific Ocean, then made a U-turn after reaching an offshore area near Tokyo. The fighter jets returned to Russian territory following a course toward Hokkaido. Report. Japanese airspace was not trespassed, the military said. Tokyo is on alert for further provocation in the region, particularly from North Korea. Pyongyang conducted a missile test that ended in failure, and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe called the launch a grave threat to national security. Japan is also coordinating an upcoming joint exercise with U.S. aircraft carrier Carl Vinson. Simbun reported Wednesday. The supercarrier is en route to the Korean Peninsula, but will make a stopover in Japan to conduct joint training, according to Japan's defense ministry. The drill is to take place in the East China Sea in an area west of Kyushu in southern Japan. North Korea warned of catastrophic consequences following the U.S. Navy decision to reroute the Carl Vinson back to the peninsula. The article is off of BizPac Review, and it says U.S. reportedly has intercepts of Assad military discussing Syrian attacks with chemical experts. Report out Thursday effectively puts to rest any doubts about whether Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime was responsible for last week's chemical attack that killed 87 people, including small children. A senior U.S. official told the network communications between Syrian military and chemical experts talking about preparations for the Syrian attack were intercepted. CNN put out a tweet that says U.S. intelligence intercepted communications between Syrian military and chemical experts, a senior U.S. official says. More from CNN here. It says the intercepts were part of an immediate review of all intelligence in hours after the attack to confirm responsibility for the use of chemical weapons in an attack in northwestern Syria, which killed at least 70 people. U.S. officials have said that there is no doubt that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is responsible for the attack. The U.S. did not know prior to the attack it was going to happen, the officials emphasized. The U.S. scoops up such a large volume of communications intercepts in areas like Syria and Iraq. The material often is not, unless there is a particular event that requires analysis to go back and look for supporting intelligence material. The CNN report comes on the same day the Sun reported Assad completely denied the chemical attack. Definitely 100% for us, it's fabrication. Our impression is that the West, mainly the United States, is hand in glove with terrorists, the Syrian president said. They fabricated the whole story in order to have a pretext for the attack, he added. The Russian government also denied Syrian involvement in the attack, but President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that the Pentagon is looking into the possibility of Russian complicity, CNN reported. I would like to think that they didn't know, but certainly they could have, he said. Defense Secretary General James Mattis is looking into it with the entire Pentagon group that does that kind of work. Drone was reportedly flying over a Syrian hospital that was bombed after the initial chemical attack, according to CNN. The next article I have is also off of BizPac Review, and it says, furious Nikki Haley rips unaccountable Russia for vetoing UN resolution to condemn Assad. Nikki Haley is still shaking things up at the United Nations. On Wednesday, a UN Security Council resolution was presented to condemn Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's use of chemical weapons last week, which resulted in the deaths of dozens of his own citizens. And there is video here. It's entitled Nikki Haley slams Russia after its veto of UN resolution condemning, and it trails off. 10 Security Council member nations voted in favor of the resolution, 2 voted against it, and 3 abstained. The resolution would have been adopted had not Russia, as a permanent member of the Council, not vetoed no. All other permanent members either voted in favor or abstained. The U.S. ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, and acting president of the UN Security Council, eviscerated Russia. She said that the United States, the and France submitted the resolution because no one should have to endure the horrors of a chemical attack. Its veto, Russia said no to accountability. Russia said no to cooperation with the UN's independent investigation, and Russia said no to a resolution that would peace in Syria, Haley observed. Russia once again has chosen to side with Assad, even as the rest of the world, including the Arab world, overwhelmingly comes together to condemn this murderous regime, Haley said. To Assad and the Syrian government, you have no friends in the world after your horrible actions. The United States is watching your actions very closely, Haley continued. The days of your arrogance and disregard of humanity are over. Your excuses will no longer be heard. I suggest you look at this vote very carefully and heed this warning. Ouch, that had to have left a mark. Matthew Rycroft, the United Kingdom's ambassador to the UN, observed that Wednesday's vote marked the 8th time Russia vetoed a resolution condemning Syria. After the vote, Rycroft went after the Assad regime and Russia. This one, the Russian veto, is even more regrettable given that Russia was the architect of the 2013 agreement to dismantle Syria's chemical weapons program, an initiative that has demonstrably failed, Rycroft said. Russia cannot now possibly claim that it opposes the use of chemical weapons. Russia has seen the same pictures we all saw just days ago in this chamber. How can anyone look at the faces of lifeless children and choose to veto a resolution condemning those deaths? Possibly claim that it opposes the use of chemical weapons. Russia has seen the same pictures that we all saw just days ago in this chamber, Rycroft continued. How can anyone look at the faces of those lifeless children and choose to veto a resolution condemning those deaths? On one hand, even liberals have applauded the Trump administration's missile strike against Syria, a Russian ally. On the other, they claim that President Trump is a puppet of Russian President Vladimir Putin. They can't have it both ways. President Trump tried to reassure any worries about the growing tension with a tweet on Thursday morning saying things will work out fine between the USA and Russia. At the right time, everyone will come to their senses and there will be lasting peace. Article that I have for you here is off of teaparty.org, and it says, warning, military on red alert after warship spotted off California coast. This says, President Trump's courageous attack against the vile Syrian government has caused many foreign governments to panic. When our enemies panic, they make stupid mistakes. Recently, multiple anti-submarine military crafts, likely originating from Russia or North Korea, have been found roaming just off the coast of California. Who's trying to stick their thumb in our eye? Who's responsible for this insulting behavior? In a joint statement with Iran, Russia said, what America waged is an aggression on Syria is across red lines. The Putin dictatorship did not stop there. From now on, we will respond with force to any aggression or any breach of red lines from whoever it is, and America knows our ability to respond well. How should we take those comments? Putin's red line comment is reminiscent of the laughable Obama red line. So how are we to take that statement, patriots? Well, we know the last person who talked about red lines did absolutely nothing, so we should not be worried about Putin and his cronies. However, Russia is not the only nation having a hissy fit over Donald Trump's strong stance. North Korea has also been attempting to showcase aggression towards our great country, but we all know that North Korea is a joke. Their so-called government can barely get missiles off the ground, let alone feed their own people. After 8 years of Obama trademark softness, North Korea has decided to get bolder, and while they are a weak nation, we must remember that even a toddler is dangerous with a lighter. After 8 years of Obama, Russians have strengthened their stance around the world, but why isn't the mainstream media talking about Putin's red line remarks? I'll tell you why. It's because it shows that Trump and Putin are not buddies. Oh no. The left continues to show off their astounding ignorance. On MSNBC's The Last Word, Lawrence O'Donnell has been pushing a bizarre conspiracy theory in a lame attempt to discredit Trump. He believes Putin and Trump colluded to gas children so that Trump could strike Syria and get the media on his side. What is this nonsense? How could anyone believe that the President of the United States would gas children just to catch a good media cycle? Once again, we have another example of the mainstream media acting insane and unreliable. While the mainstream media gossips about Trump, the Russians and North Koreans are making moves against the United States. They are parking their warships in our turf. This story needs to get reported, but it does not fit the ridiculous fiction the mainstream media wants to peddle. And there is picture here, says the aircraft detail, and it shows there off the coast that there's apparently a plane or something in that photo there off the coast. It says, of course, this all goes back to the past 8 years because during the last 8 years, our stance and the world has been weakened. President Trump really did inherit a mess from the Obama family, and while he tries to clean it up, the Obamas are taking a very expensive vacation. Clearly, they can afford it because we've had to pay for their other expensive vacations. So it only makes sense that they saved up enough money for their own extravagant trip. With Donald Trump taking the reins, we will finally have a president who cares enough. We finally have a president who will make America strong and respectable again. This is good news, Patriots, but there is still a lot of work to do. The Russians and the North Koreans need to take their toy boats and go home. They are not dealing with the Obamas anymore. President Trump will not stand for this nonsense, and you shouldn't either. Next article I have is off of BizPac Review. It says, China warns crazy fat kid in North Korea, you really don't want to mess with Trump. Waffle stomp this fat little despot. The less than 24 hours after China's President Xi Jinping promised President Donald Trump to work toward a peaceful resolution to stem North Korea's saber rattling, the People's Republic came through. The People's Republic of China issued a stern warning to North Korea's Kim Jong-un that any further testing of nuclear weapons or missiles delivery system for nuclear devices would be dealt with sharply and swiftly by the United States. Not only is Washington brimming with confidence and arrogance attacks on Syria, but Trump is also willing to be regarded as a man who honors his promises. The ruling Communist Party official paper, the People's Daily, reported, according to the New York Post. After Trump ordered a U.S. Navy carrier strike force to steam to the West Pacific last weekend in order to patrol the Korean peninsula, North Korea threatened a nuclear attack on the U.S. at any sign of provocation. Trump indicated on Tuesday that although he would much prefer working with China to resolve North Korea's nuclear ambitions, the United States would do so unilaterally if necessary. Tweet that says North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. If not, we will resolve the problem without them. Indicated that things would work out much better if the People's Republic, if they used their influence on North Korea. I explained to the president of China that a trade deal with the U.S. will be far better for them if they solve the North Korean problem, Trump tweeted. The following day, events progressed at a rapid-fire pace, beginning with a telephone call, as confirmed by Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Liu Kang, The Hill reported. We hope that the relevant parties do not actions, Liu told reporters. Under the current circumstances, this is very dangerous. And after China's blunt message to North Korea later that day, it's believed that China will react strongly to any further saber rattling by its southern neighbor. If the North makes another provocative move this month, the Chinese society will be willing to see the UN Security Council adopt severe restrictive measures that have never been seen before, such as restricting oil imports to the north, reported the Global Times, a paper whose stance often aligns with Chinese government policy. Would Xi have done this for former President Obama? Wondered someone on Twitter. And there's some tweets in there if you want to read those. And who could forget Senator John McCain's reference to Kim Jong-un as a crazy fat kid? Not this Twitter user who is all aboard this Trump train. Says time to waffle stomp this fat little despot, it says. The ball is now in the fat little despot's court. Article that we have here is off of the teaparty.org, and it says this just in. Kim Jong-un sees U.S. Navy approaching, makes catastrophic promise. Time to put your toys away, North Korea. The big boys are running the show now. North Korea is having a collective panic attack because they cannot handle having a real president. Upon seeing the U.S. Navy approaching, Kim Jong-un's spokesman said, "We will hold the U.S. wholly accountable for the catastrophic consequences to be entailed by its outrageous actions." Catastrophic? Is this coming from a country that cannot even get their rockets off the ground? North Korea should start playing nice because President Trump is not messing around. He is no Obama. After 8 years of weakness, it's time to get serious. Obama, we let North Koreans strengthen their military. It's unfortunate that those failed policies have snowballed into a potential conflict. If Obama had handled this correctly, we would not be in this position. The Democrats have proven time and time again that they are incapable of handling foreign issues. Do you remember the incorrectly spelled reset button that Hillary Clinton offered Russians? How could we forget that embarrassment? Luckily, we have President Trump to manage our foreign affairs after the recent Syrian airport strikes. The world knows that the United States is once again the greatest country on earth. We do not need to play nice with murderous dictators and theatric psychopaths pushing Sharia law onto our great nation. Thankfully, the apologist days are over. We should not have to apologize for being great. The former president did not speak for all of us. We are not a nation of apologists. We are a nation of hardworking patriots. Don't let the Democrats fool you. The Democrats would have us all believe that we should feel sorry for other nations. The world is not a peaceful place, so we shouldn't pretend that we want to get along with everyone. As usual, we cannot rely on Democrats to speak for us, especially when it comes to North Korea. There is near universal agreement that something has to be done about the North Koreans. Even China agrees with us. As punishment for North Korea's missile experimentation, China recently turned away a shipment of coal from North Korea. The China and North Korean relationship is based almost exclusively on coal trading because China is so reliant on coal, as the liberals love to point out. The entire world is against North Korea, and who better to march against this dictatorship than Donald Trump? Once again, America is at the top of the international food chain. However, international issues should come second to our domestic issues. We still have a lot to clean up after the mess that Obama left us. We need to drain the swamp and fix all our broken healthcare systems. We need to make America great again. Final article in this episode is off the Conservative Tribune. It says, "Fleet moves back to Korea after shocking Chinese rejection." North Korean ships are reportedly heading back home from China, still full with of one of a few products the country has that other countries want: coal. Her sanctions China implemented in February have gone into effect, stopping North Korea from selling its most precious exports to its biggest trading partner. This is a proverbial walk of shame for North Korea. cargo ships is heading home to the port of Nampo, the majority of it's fully laden after China ordered its trading companies to return coal from the isolated country, Rutgers reported. The ban on North Korean exports came after North Korea was found to be practicing long-range missile tests and continued to do so even after being warned. On February 26, China banned all imports of North Korean coal, according to New York Times. On Friday, China's customs officials ordered the country's traders to return all North Korean coal cargoes to their ships. This news comes after United Nations President Donald Trump's successful two-day summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. Trump reportedly pressured Xi to crack down on North Korea, according to Newsmax. On Sunday, U.S. Secretary of State and Rex Tillerson told Face the Nation that China had begun to understand that the situation with North Korea has intensified and has reached a certain level of threat that action has to be taken. Besides further isolating the already isolated regime of North Korea, dictator Kim Jong-un, China's ban on North Korean coal has another upside for the United States. The ban, which is expected to last until the end of the year, has increased China's trading with the U.S. To make up for the shortfall from North Korea, China has ramped up imports from the United States in an unexpected boon. President Donald Trump, who has declared he wants to revive his country's struggling coal sector, citing its trading analysis software. Icon data shows no U.S. was exported to China between late 2014 and 2016, but shipments soared over 400,000 tons by late February, Rutgers reported. That's one way to kill two birds with one stone. And that's all I have for you in this. What I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. That way you'll stay informed.